This has got to be too long. I'm looking at the words on the page. I can already tell there's too many words. But that's okay. I got a couple days to monkey it up. So as per usual, I will begin reading this at 1 minute. And sometimes I quit in the middle and bail out because I realize it's too long. There's something really wrong with it. This one is definitely be a third too long to half too long, depending on how fast I talk. Maybe it won't be. Sometimes it's surprising how quickly, how slowly some of these are said and how quickly some of these are said. So the same number of words can take twice as long to say, depending on the pauses or how difficult the words are. So if it's really casual speak, you can absolutely speed through it and go faster. And if it's more complicated speak, you have to slow down. So, okay, here we go at the 1 minute mark. The task of building a holy place for God to dwell in and where we can be close to God. Hold on, I'm switching this now. Builds in importance in the Tanakh. So we go from the patriarchs having incredible encounters with God and building altars in the wilderness to the building of the great temples in Jerusalem. And then time marches on and the temples are knocked down and the Jews are scattered. And for periods of time, Jews make do with fewer and smaller buildings or no buildings at all. Then in the modern world, the buildings get more and more important and bigger again in places where Jews are doing well in the diaspora, like here in America. But then circumstances turn and Jews don't affiliate with synagogues and the cost of building and maintaining buildings gets harder again. There's a Reformed synagogue here in Kansas City that had to choose between a rabbi and their building, and the board chose the rabbi, so now it's not really a synagogue, it's more a community. And Congregation Kol Ami meets outside in the parks in nice weather and at the rabbi's house, and most often in a Unitarian Universalist church. There's a conservative synagogue whose declining membership meant they had to sell their building to the preschool next door. So they merged with another larger conservative shul. But many of the older members who still live near the city of the now defunct Congregation Ohev Shalom meet at least once a month for a musical service at a Methodist church across the street from their old synagogue. So these things feel bad to those who lose buildings. You know, children are named, taught, bar and bat mitzvahed, confirmed, get married, bring their own children, grow old, and die around these buildings. These buildings are important for the community. In this week's Torah portion, Trumah, God tells Moses to collect money from the Hebrews. You shall accept gifts for me from every person, asher yidvenu libo, whose heart so moves him. And these gifts will be used to build the Mishkan, an elaborate tent and all its accessories to house the big box that holds the stone tablets that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai. We also get this week in the Haftarah, the building of the first temple in Jerusalem by King Solomon. Only this time, unlike the Mishkan, it's going to take years, and Vaya'al HaMelech Shlomo mas mikol Yisrael. King Solomon imposed forced labor on all Israel. So they're going to get big stones and build a monument that the Jews can visit regularly for their festivals. But I don't think God needs these buildings, these places. So then the question is, what do the people of a community need these buildings for to help them bring God into their midst? And I have always only partially understood the fact that one of my good Jewish friends really missed the synagogue of Congregation Kol Ami. It wasn't the same going to pray in beautiful spaces that were not Jewish. But in my head, I'd say, well, God is wherever we bring God. And I'd always argue a little with others who said, well, they didn't want to belong to a traveling mobile synagogue of daveners like Congregation Ohev Shalom. Maybe they weren't supposed to like a big, beautiful sanctuary, but they did. In my head, I'd say, oh, it's just a building. But different Jews need different things. Some Jews, like the convert Ruth from the Tanakh, grow close to Judaism and say to their mother-in-law, well, wherever you go, I will go. I'm with you, Mom. I'm a Jew and I'll do Jewish things. No special buildings necessary. I'm in. Other Jews, like the Hebrews we read about in this week's Torah portion, need a thing they can see, God manifesting as a cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night. That told them when they looked up in the sky that God was there with them. And other Jews, like the priestly class and David and Solomon and the Jews of their time, needed a big stone giant of a building that would help them feel close to God and assure them, when they couldn't see it, that Judaism and its God were still there. Look at us. We are a Jewish nation, and here is where we worship our God. Sometimes our own kavanah and our own thoughts and a book of prayer and a handful of fellow Jews gathered around is not enough. We need to see a big building and a humongous gathering of Jews and a clearly heard and perfectly sung prayer and a big hulking amud and the Torah scroll there to feel transported and awed and connected to God. And that impulse, that need, that commandment to bring beauty to the mitzvot, chidur mitzvah, is a beautiful impulse. But when we also remember that without the right building, the right rabbi, the right cantor, the right prayer book, the right group of Jews, that we can still bring God to our place, our time, with whatever group of Jews we find ourselves with. If we are ever called to be mobile or daven in an imperfect place, let's be like Ruth in our communities, who said to her mother-in-law, Ki el asher talchi elech, for wherever you go, I will go. Uva asher talini alin, wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Shabbat shalom. Okay, so that read really well, but it's about 5, so it's 6 minutes long. So only about 30 seconds need to be cut, and I got 2 days to do it, so that should be easy. So, but that was very close to what I do, but there's something in there that can be trimmed out, so that's what I'm going to trim out. And there's things I want to add, but I can't add anything because it's already at 5.5 minutes. Okay, that's it.